Hello and welcome to Rise and Shine. I am your hostess, Alissa IG, the consultress, and I have the extreme pleasure of hosting the most amazing people on the planet that are in my network that I have the privilege and honor of sharing amazing conversations with in this age of disruption, where nothing is normal and nothing's ever going to return to normal. We all get to renegotiate what that means in our lives and our businesses, and what a great time to be alive. So without further ado, I want to introduce today's guest, a longtime friend of mine, over a decade, doing amazing things in the world and in business, Miss Cindy Whitmer. Welcome to Rise and Shine with Alissa.
Hello. Good morning, everybody. Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh my God, it's such a pleasure. So we met once upon a training room where we were getting certified to be human potential trainers. And one of the prerequisites to be in that room was you had to live life full out and really bring all of yourself to the table, because in order to be trained in that success principle method, you really had to become a product of the work. Am I right?
I agree. Yes, I felt like that was absolutely a necessity to fulfill the training requirements and to really step into who we fully are. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So that's where my conversation with you will begin today. It's like, what have you been up to, and where is your passion showing up in your life?
Well, ironically, when we were going through that human potential training, I was getting a divorce after 22 years of marriage. I was right in the middle of my 40s. And yeah, I mean, I was going through one of the biggest transitions of my life. And there's been one thing after another, after another, after another. And I am just passionate about being happy. Thus, the cup. Oh, happy day. That's the goal for me. Every day, for it to be a happy day and to help others create their own definition of success and happiness. And have found that in midlife is such a time where people find themselves at such a crossroads, maybe personally, maybe professionally. There's tons of reasons for that, but that's when we really have a choice to go one way or the other with that. You can either start down the slippery slope to greater aging, illness, the road to death, be very unpleasant, or begin to skyrocket in your second act. And so that's what I feel like I've been on the road doing myself personally, and then I help others do professionally. So that's where I'm
Uh-huh.
at.
Yeah, no, I know. I've witnessed you firsthand a bunch of times. So we met 10 years ago, but we've been in touch. So tell me about this pivot point, because I'm with you with, the timing of life, and I'm in my 40s now, where I've made some really big changes and I've done some really bold things that in my 30s I might not have done. And also I give less of a shit about what everybody thinks about it now. So it's like really a great time of life. But so tell me a little bit about how that shows up in your life and in your work.
Yeah, so in my life, it became in my mid 40s, the question, I saw myself spiraling down. I saw myself just spiraling down, denying myself of what I really wanted, trying to just make up for it by showing up as the best mom I could, the best friend I could, the best community person I could. I dove into focusing on others, being others focused and serving, serving, serving. And there is joy in that, of course, in giving. But when it's lopsided and in the process, you don't even know who you are anymore,
Mm.
it is destructive. And that's the path I was on, spiraling down. And so the question became, what will bring me back to life? What would be authentic living as Cindy Whitmer? What would that look like? What would that look like personally and professionally? And thus I made many decisions in that stretch of transition. I got a divorce, and then when my kids graduated and had the empty nest, I moved to a different community that I felt more resonated with who I am. I went into business for myself instead of working for others. I have been on a health journey as well that's evolved over time to remain as healthy and happy and, as possible. And so then I realized, as I went into business for myself, to be a coach and counselor, which has been my historically my profession, I was drawing in women who also in the transition of midlife, and uh, just riding on the journey with them. So I help women come into themselves, who they are, find that authentic self, define what success, meaning, and happiness means for them, and then wake up to what they're doing and not doing to support that realization,
Mm.
and then take them through what I call my midlife makeover method, which is a 6-step process of that full transformation into becoming your own. And it doesn't mean you have to do something dramatic like get a divorce necessarily. For some, that's what it means. For some, it means getting married. For some, it means, finally letting themselves learn something they've always wanted to learn. For some, it means just carving out time every day to be themselves.
Yeah, and for me, I feel like that pivot point for me was allowing myself permission to have fun. Like, I
Yes.
I am a fun person, and I love, engaging people. Like, you can't find me on a dance floor. I'm always dancing. My husband's like, if we go to a wedding, he's like, "Do you have to be the first person on the floor?" I'm like, "Yes, yes, I do."
Yes, I
Um, but like in my business, in my work, in financial services or in real estate or in, business in general, there seems to be this like seriosity, my friend Rebecca says, this seriousness about everything. And I kind of felt like I had to glom that on in my 20s and 30s, that I had to be serious, like seriously. But I'm like, seriously? I,
yes.
I can't. I like all of my values, all of my growth comes from joy. So allowing myself in this phase of life to own that and to live from that, I feel like that's like my pivot as I'm listening to you talk about, going from, what everybody needed you to be to what you really feel like you are. I feel like that's my time of life right now. And I love what you said about, going from you didn't put it this way, but I'm going to paraphrase, going from externalizing your values, like helping others is a great thing, but helping others at the expense of self is destructive. And then you go to the other extreme where you're going to be selfish and self-focused all the time at the detriment of others. Well, it's not really healthy either. So I love how you're like bringing those two things together, in service to others as in service to oneself. How does that show up for your clients when you're in the midst of this work?
Yeah, well, I think they struggle to find that new balance, that new paradigm, because especially classically trained females, classic training for females has historically been serve and love everybody, serve and love everybody, serve, take care of everybody, nurture, 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 care, give, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a beautiful thing. But again, when it requires a denial of self or becomes a disappearance of the self, then it's destructive. It is, I don't even think it serves the people being served as well.
Mm,
So it's a shift in a mindset around how can I be fully, uh, you know, the person I want to be and show up in my relationships in a way that feels meaningful to me as well. And so we have constant conversation about that. We practice new ways of being, in day to day life. And something you said about joy, I really want to emphasize too. And that is that we all have an internal guidance system, and joy can be the barometer. So it isn't just make sure you're on the dance floor at the wedding you go to, but it is wake up every morning and go, what would bring me joy today? I feel like eggs this morning. That would bring me joy. Okay, I'll eat the eggs. Or
yeah.
I feel like a walk on the trail in the park this morning. Okay, I'll go let myself take a walk in the park this morning. Or joy is I just want to curl up in a ball in my chair and do nothing would
Mm.
bring me joy today. Joy can look like a lot of things, but day in, day out, with every decision, every opportunity that presents itself, I would love for people to have their connecting point with that be what would bring me joy, what would not bring me joy. or what would bring me the most joy and do that. Does that make sense?
So yeah, it does. And I have a question for you because in the last decade or so, I had quite a resistance when we met to the word joy. Like it felt to me like, ugh, like eye roll. It joy, like the season of joy, like you saw it on signs at Christmas, but like joy, like I more identified with the term happiness. And I, after a lot of work on myself and my, perspective, I have found that happiness came from that place you were talking about serving and giving to others, making happy. But like there was this low grade melancholy underneath the term happy that I didn't realize was there. And I noticed that it was the very thing that was not having me accept, and it was forcing resistance onto the term joy. Like I embodied fun, I embodied happiness, but something just wasn't budging with the term joy. Do you find that kind of resistance in people to like accept like the term, or to accept what it'll bring to their lives? Like where do people usually like bang their head and get stuck here?
Well, I think, I primarily work with women. And I think what really trips up women is the fear that they're going to become narcissists if they think about themselves and their own
Mm,
happiness or joy, whatever you want to call it, meaning, satisfaction, whatever word you want to put it, to make your life feel good every day, right? And so women think, oh my gosh, I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to become this snotty, snooty person who never thinks about anybody else. Trust me, ladies out there, you are so unlikely to become a true narcissist. Even just becoming more self-aware of your needs, your wants, your true desires, and letting yourself have them. It's just,
mm.
it is an irrational fear.
Right. All right. And how did you come through that at some point? I know in the last, decade plus, you went from divorced to newly happily married, and you have renegotiated some of these things in your own life. What's your story? How did that happen for you?
Oh, well, how much time do you have, Alyssa?
Well, yeah,
Not
right.
much. I think the bottom line is I realized that I had created unhealthy dynamics with in my relationship, in my marriage. We loved each other very much. I really believe that. But we had an unhealthy attachment and destructive communication patterns, all kinds of things. And if we had all day, I could tell you the psychological reasons that I picked him and he picked me, and thus there we are.
Mm,
Often what we do as adults is we make decisions unconsciously that are based on our familiarity from how we were raised. And that can be a wonderful thing, and it can be a very destructive thing depending on whatever. So as I broke from that relationship and that pattern, I needed to recreate a pattern in my relationships with people. And it took time. I mean, as I took a break from dating, for example, but when I started dating again, the health of those dating relationships continued to improve as I got healthier myself.
mm,
So it is about us. It's about us to heal and to learn new ways of being in relationship with other people. And so over time, as I got healthier and happier individually, the the people I was trying to date were also healthier and happier people. And ultimately, yeah, 6.5 years ago, I met Ed, who we ended up getting married a few months ago. So, and I would like to say with much gratitude that, I think this is the healthiest relationship I've ever co-created with someone. I mean, we have our things, we have our moments, it's not perfection, but it is possible. And it's so comforting to me because when I was married and struggling every day in that relationship, I mean, literally most days were a struggle for the last many years, many, 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 many years, well over I don't know, maybe 15 years, the last 15 years, whatever, I thought, I know I'm capable of a healthy relationship. Why can't I figure this out? I mean, the biggest irony of my life was I was going to work as a counselor, helping people save their marriages, and going home and not
Mm,
being able to do it. So I knew how to help other people. I knew what it requires to have healthy relationships, but couldn't go home and co-create it with with who I'd chosen. So
mhm.
I don't even know if I answered your question.
You totally did.
Okay.
It's like you don't know until you find the opportunity to put your beliefs into practice.
Yes.
So, here you are, like in this one set of beliefs, providing value in the world, and then going home and not understanding which piece needed to move and how to, yeah, butting your head up against the wall. And so many times it's not a function of time until we figure it out. Sometimes it's just an inspiration or there's an impetus that helps us to realize that, oh, now's the time, or this is the root of the problem. We're not stupid for taking a long time, for taking 15 years. Hell, I lived in a family dynamic that was amazing. It brought me so much joy, and I didn't realize until my father passed away 4 years ago that I was trapped by it as well. And my husband had said to me for years, Alyssa, you go into these amazing relationships and you have these grand partnerships, but you always make yourself a junior. I wonder what that's about. Why do you do that? And I'm like, I don't know, but I can feel it, but I don't understand it yet. And sometimes it just takes that repetition or something to change that is like an assumed given, that all of a sudden, oh my God, the assumption's gone. And it was a grief to filled time for me, but it also was very freeing in that I hadn't realized that I was still playing a role in a play that I didn't create. And
Yes.
it
Yeah.
freed me to create the life of my dreams.
Oh my gosh. Yes. And you are every person, and I am every person in that way. So we all have developed ways of being, patterns, and so forth. There's a reason we are who we are, and as we are, we show up as we are. And so that's why the first step when I'm working with people is wake up. And what I mean by that is really, let's take a look, you know, how you're showing up and how come. There's reasons why people behave the way they do. There's reasons why we show up how we are. And those things can be relearned, unlearned, new skills can be learned. And it is practice, practice, practice. So again, people come sometimes to a counselor or a coach like me and say, yeah, I want to turn all this around, can we do it in 3 sessions? And I'll be like, you want to take 50 years of behavior and turn it around in 3 weeks? Okay. I mean, you want to give yourself time, people, to really honor this journey of who am I now? Who do I want to be? What do I really want it all to look like over here? And then go through the process. The process is beautiful. It's challenging, but it is, when you're willing to do the work of personal development and transformation, it is so life-giving. Coming out on the other side of it is an incredible experience. There's no greater investment, in my opinion, in people's lives than in themselves, and that journey of becoming more themselves and living how they want to live their lives.
And it requires taking risk. I gotta be frank. When I took this training that I met you at, we invested all of our wedding proceeds to send me to California for 4 weeks that year. We
Uh,
were just married. And I'm
Financially,
like,
time-wise, costly, but
mhm.
sorry, I interrupted.
No. I mean, we're vibing. Like this is so for us. I had a very clear intention of growth and betterment, and at the same time, there was a little voice in my head going, "Well, you just committed to a relationship based on who you've been, and who you think you'd like to be with forever, presumably."
Yes.
Hashtag go team Bakar, because we're still together. It's glorious. And and I had a very real fear in taking that initiative to grow. Like, what if I outgrow this? What
Yep.
if I become something more, something different, and it doesn't match.
Yeah.
Like, it was terrifying. I mean, I felt the fear and did it anyway, which is one of those things we learn to facilitate, right? But it can be very confronting, and to not have a guide by your side doing that kind of analysis in your head with all of the emotions that come along with it can be swirling. And you might just fall down that spirally slope that just brings you into the abyss of wherever down there you wind up. But I think it's very wise what you're saying to help people, because you've been through this trajectory and you've renegotiated spaces in your life that were difficult. You know, you're uniquely qualified to say, I've been there. I understand what you're going through. I might not be in your exact situation, but I can share with you some wisdom I've learned along my journey and be able to give it. Like, so your difficulties actually wound up becoming part of your gift set.
Well, yeah, and isn't that the beauty of life, is that no matter who we are, when we have difficulties, we can actually turn it into blessings for others. And you said a whole lot there that I want to just, put an exclamation point on. And one is that, yes, change freaks people out, right?
Yeah.
It freaks human beings out. We are biologically wired. Our brain's job is to protect us from changing. And so, it protects us. Oh, something's different. Ooh, all the buzzes and whistles go off. So we must, first of all, reduce our fear of change and realize that everything changes, life evolves, and we can flow with our most committed relationships. Our healthiest relationships will flow with the changes that we make, and that all the change we've already been through in life, all throughout their history of our lives, we've been okay. We're still here. So change is our friend. It is okay. And then another thing to emphasize, I think that's so important is, you were scared about the money you invested in your human development training. Ooh, is this fair that I'm using all this, whatever. And, people question the cost of personal development training often, and it scares them. And it's like, think about what you're willing to spend on a car. Just think about that for a second as a human being, how much you've spent on vehicles in your adult life alone, just that. And the second you drive that car off the parking lot of the dealership, its value starts to go down. And it just keeps going down until you no longer can use that car. And that car is done in maybe 10 years if you're lucky, right? But when you invest less than you would pay for a car in your human development, your personal development, your counseling, your coaching, whatever it is you're doing, your nutrition, your physical fitness, whatever it is you're doing to be healthy and happy, when you invest less than that, it benefits you forever. It just keeps giving back to you. But for some reason, people have this, I'll spend this on clothes or cars or even education that I might use and may not, and but to get happy and healthy, oh, I don't know if I should. That's not nice. That's not fair. So
because change freaks people out.
So, but the value of it never stops giving if you truly embrace what you learn and apply it to your life. It will give to you for the rest of your life. And the ripple effect it will have on people around you is amazing.
Yeah. Amazing. Oh my God. The exponential benefits of investing in your health and happiness.
It just
I am going to pause this right here and say thanks a million for joining me here on today's broadcast. We would love to have you back, because I feel like there's so much more we could talk about, and kind of as this world begins to continues to shift and change, it's conversations like this that help people inform and reassess and reevaluate who they are, where they're going, and what really matters. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for having this public conversation so that so many people can now benefit from the wisdom that you've curated and the journey that you've had. Where can people find you if they'd like to learn more or reach out?
Well, again, thank you so much for having me, Alissa. I really appreciate what you're doing here in Rise and Shine. I love it. I love it. I love it. And people can find me at cindydwhitmer.com, or if they'd like a slice of the midlife makeover method, this is, you know, probably $10,000 of coaching in a $20 book.
Nice.
So you can check it out there, or go to cindydwhitmer.com and see what I've got going on, how I support you in finding your own happy, happy day, happy, happy life. So
Heck yes. Cheers. And until next time, friends, every Monday, Rise and Shine, 7:30 Eastern Time. Click subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and tell us what you think in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And stay tuned as these evolutionary times keep expanding and the age of disruption gives way to what is new and great. We are here for the show, and we are so glad you're here with us. Ciao for now.